Hey guys, welcome back to the DX Gamer Show. My name is OperationDx, and we are here on Tuesday, March 26th, 2013. This is episode 2 of my mini Let's Play of Simcity. Well, I'm not sure if it's going to be mini the way we're going here, but we'll keep chugging along and see how this goes. So as the title suggests, we are actually going to supply our city with various services as we continue to expand to meet the objective of making an electronic city. And I'm just continuing to expand a little bit, and I'm pretty much prepping to go ahead and start plopping down my main services. Now, I don't like to obstruct my services such as the fire station and the police station and the clinic, and possibly, most likely what's going to happen is this city is going to need a full-on hospital because of all the pollution that's going to be going on. I'm going to have full-on sick sims, and I suspect that I'm going to have a big problem with that later on. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. We're pretty much going to start by placing a fire station because that's usually the first thing that starts to happen in your city is like buildings start catching on fire. And usually the single truck in the fire station is not adequate for a city this size, so we're probably going to have to upgrade that a little bit later. And next I'm going to go ahead and place down a clinic because we're already producing a lot of pollution, and we're going to run into all kinds of sick sims really quickly here, so maybe we can get a little bit of a jump on that. And lastly, I want to place my police station, but we had to wait a second. That's why there's the cut. To get a little bit of money so I could actually place the police station. And that's pretty much what you're going to see mostly throughout the video is I get to watch all the boring parts and cut them out so you don't have to. Which brings up, this is largely going to be a post-commentary series. I'll be, recording the sessions as I probably watch TV or something, and I'll commentate on what I was planning or what I was doing at the time. So here we are upgrading our city hall in preparation for the primary waste treatment plant and the pumping station. We're not going to do that quite yet. And as always, I check this chart. Like, that chart is like the main thing I look at in this game as far as the population index and seeing how many people have jobs and how many people don't have jobs and that sort of thing. And that's kind of how you keep things in balance. And that's how you know, well, I need, another residential zone, or I need another commercial zone, or I need some more industrial. But like I said in the last video, I am probably going to be wiping 90 to 100% of my industry to specialize in this because we're pretty much going to be doing everything for the processors. We're going to be mining the coal, we're going to be mining the ore, we're going to be smelting that into alloys. We're probably going to be importing the plastic. There are no oil locations on this map, so we're probably going to do that. Of course, we could use our recycling center to alleviate that, but you actually benefit a lot less from that. It's better to actually use the recycling center to produce alloys. It's more efficient in terms of money, but it's not efficient in terms of like making processors and stuff. But we'll be dealing with that later on. So I'm going to go ahead and get a jump on this here. I can already see that I have more sick sims than I can handle, and I knew that was going to happen because this is a straight up industry city. There's lots of germs and whatever, and like this, they're constantly getting sick, so I need to keep on top of that, and eventually we will unlock the whatever upgrade on the city hall that gives you the hospitals and the precincts and the large fire station. We will be doing that a little bit later. So because we are servicing our city now with some of the basic needs, our city is going to want to grow, and we need to be prepared for that. Currently, right now, my city's being powered by wind power, and that clearly is not going to be even remotely adequate. In fact, an electronic city requires a lot of juice. So we're going to go ahead and plop down a coal power plant. Now, you're probably not going to see me through the entire series ever plop down a nuclear power plant because they're too destructive to the entire environment if they melt down. And because there's no saving and going back in this game, it's not worth the risk. Another thing that really kind of irritates me is sometimes when you have meteor strikes, it leaves a deposit of radiation on your land, and I don't know how long it takes to get rid of that, but it takes a super long time, days and days of real time to actually eliminate that. If it ever goes away, I have no idea, and that pretty much ruins the entire area, and you almost have to just give up and start in another area, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you can keep playing, but your land is permanently ruined. So the direct result of this is you can either use ultra polluting plants like the coal and gas power stations, or you can use the ultra expensive solar arrays. Now, I do like the solar arrays later on when you're making money hand over fist. That's absolutely fine, and it kind of cleans things up, which is kind of nice, but there's almost no cleaning up your industrial city. Anyways, so right now we're prepping to drop our utilities. Like I said in the previous video, we are going to place our waste treatment plant center up here in the corner and right next to our water pumping station. Now, the reason why you do this is because the waste treatment plant pumps water, clean water, back into the ground around that area that it's plopped down. So obviously the pumping station benefits from that, and that's how you can stop the finite resource kind of system in this game where water eventually runs out underneath your pumping station. So that's why you always want to place your pumping station right next to your waste treatment plant. Seems kind of strange, but that's really what you got to do. And now we're basically just waiting for this building to fill, and that's another reason why I like to watch that population screen, because if you have a deficit of workers, it takes longer for these buildings to actually get powered up and running. And of course, the other reason why I'm waiting here is because I want to eliminate that other thing that's pretty much pumping the sewage right onto the ground. We don't want that. But it was taking too long, so we went ahead and cut that. So now we're at the point where we are wiping out our first money-making initial build of our city, and we're going to start filling in with the primary city build that we've been working on in the background, because this pretty much has served its purpose. And then, we've got the game paused because we're going to try to fill in as much population as possible to replace this population that's actually getting removed, because we are going to take a little bit of a hit in our budget by cutting these guys out. But we've got enough sustainability from our primary city that this really isn't going to affect us too much, and we should be able to replace this population pretty quickly. And then we'll focus on some other things that we are definitely lacking in the city, and it is going to become a problem if we don't get it taken care of pretty soon here. One of the things you got to kind of keep an eye on as you're working on your electronic city is your budget. Now, most of the previous electronic cities that I've worked on, the budget actually tends to go into the negative, even though you're making so much money from the sales of electronic goods. But you just got to kind of keep an eye on that, because services get expensive. Like when you build up that hospital, it really starts to melt your income. And of course, you got to keep in mind you need things like the community college so that you can get high-tech industry to unlock the processor factory and so on. Even though this isn't going to be a high education city such as a university, we still need to unlock those things so that we can get access to the processor factory. Now, if we were playing on sandbox mode, which I really don't care for too much because it just takes all the challenge out of the game. I like there to be a little bit of challenge, geez. You don't have to worry about that because all the buildings are unlocked. In fact, I don't even think there are fires unless you turn them on. I don't think there's sickness or crime or anything. From my experience of the game, you pretty much just run into a bunch of disasters that are usually pretty manageable. They tend to suck if they happen early on and they take out your expensive buildings. Like if you just, for example, plop down your pumping station, which costs like $45,000, that's a pretty big hit to take, and you have to wait, you know, depending on how much you're making per hour, a little bit to replace that. But usually these things don't tend to happen like early on. But I have run into a point where my cities where they'll just happen 2 or 3 times a day. You know, 2 tornadoes and an earthquake, or 2 tornadoes and that like monster guy that comes out or whatever. It's kind of whatever. Now, I previously thought that you could do things to kind of avoid that to happen. For example, like on your garbage facility, I thought that the monster goes after garbage, and like if you don't produce, you know, if you turn your smokestack off or whatever, he doesn't come, but he definitely comes. I haven't found a way to prevent disasters per se. Speaking of garbage, I'm pretty much zoning this area so that I can place my garbage facility, because I don't have one currently, and the garbage is probably starting to pile up at this point because we've been running for a little while now without any services in that regard. So finally we have enough cash to go ahead and place our pumping station, and like I said, you want to keep that, you know, somewhat close to the the waste treatment plant. And now that we've got that up, we can pretty much wipe out the other pumping station we've got. Now, another trick you can try to do too is like you can turn your pumping station off, and you can plop down like a whole bunch of the other water pumps to like pump it back towards the waste treatment plant, and then that area will fill back up, and then you can turn your pumping station back on. Or, you know, there's other things that you can try, but you got to be careful sometimes because the pumping station can get less efficient when your city gets bigger. But that really shouldn't happen with this city, because like I said, I'm not going to let it go too out of control with population and stuff. So another thing I like to do early on when I get my garbage facility, and at this point you should be generating enough money to, you know, upgrade it a little bit, is go ahead and build the incinerator so that you just start incinerating the garbage right away. And you probably want to build a couple of garbage trucks early on, because you tend to get the garbage quest. It's basically like a dude that pops up and says, hey, we want to have a block party, but we're going to produce a whole bunch of garbage. And then it gets you like about 50,000, and that's kind of a nice thing to get early on. It's a nice 50,000. I can't remember if it's 50,000 or 25,000 boost, but it's a nice little boost. And that's another thing you can do, you know, if you're having a hard time with money. I've already done it so many times, I'm kind of sick of it at this point. And, it's kind of weird to say, but yeah, I mean, I am. And so I don't really do it right now. But like if you're struggling, whatever, like a lot of those missions give a ton of money. And there's also like a thing where you can go into the specialization in some like areas, whatever, and you hit guide me, and then it'll unlock some missions to unlock certain buildings. And as you do it, you'll gain some extra money that you wouldn't normally get. So, I mean, that's another way you can get some simoleons if you are struggling. So you may have noticed just a second ago I plopped down a export facility, and that was so that my industry has somewhere to ship their freight, because sometimes if they don't have anywhere to ship their freight, they'll start abandoning their buildings, which messes up your whole economy and everything. So that's why I did that. So now that my city is essentially supplied with basic services, that's pretty much going to be the conclusion of this second episode of my SimCity Let's Play. Thank you for watching another episode of the DX Gamer Show and my SimCity playthrough. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day and take care.